We are live. How about you, everybody? Welcome into this week's edition of the Auburn Live Recruiting Call-In Show. We don't. What's the word I'm looking for, Jhead? We're not limited.
There we
recruiting
go.
only. We do it all, folks. We're swing guys. That ain't come out right either. Anyways, I am Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3. I am joined, as I always am, by Mr. Jhead, Mr. Cole Pinkston. Fellas, before I do, there's somebody more important in my life than you.
Oof.
And her name is Jessica Andrews, Realtor with eXp Realty. Hey, appreciate Jessica for sponsoring the show. If you need a home in Auburn, Opelika, and Lee County, please give her a call, 334-704-4442. 334-704-4442. She does residential and investment properties. I tell you, man, it's been a whirlwind week, and is it Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Wow, dude. All right, fellas. Let me get this out real quick. Jhead, I love the background. I think we're all a little disappointed that we're not getting to see the refrigerator and live this week. I say that as part of my big dogs on the corner at Auburn Live on 3. But I do. It makes me want to go grab my bow or my rifle and hit that green field. That looks good.
You, man, it is that time of the year, is it not?
Yeah. There. I woke up this morning and needed some long sleeves on.
God, if it can just be like this on Saturday.
Ooh.
It looks like it might be somewhat similar according to the forecast, but
it'll be fantastic. A 2:30 game.
Yes. But that means at Toomer's Corner, should we win, it's going to be absolutely nuts come Saturday night. You can bank on that.
There is a big game. Hey, Cole, let me get to you, big dog. How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing good. I appreciate it.
The shortest intro of all time.
Listen, it's been nonstop. I love this kind of week because there's always something to do, man. We've been tracking recruiting. We've been tracking the visitors, official visitors, unofficial visitors, 2023 class, 2024 class, the team. This is the biggest game of the season because it's the next one. It's also probably going to be the biggest recruiting weekend. There's going to be other big recruiting weekends. Hell, we've seen 5 stars at every game so far this season. And we haven't even played a Power 5 school yet, if I'm not mistaken. Is that accurate to say?
Yes.
So you've got we'll talk about the visitors. We'll talk about whatever you guys want. This is y'all's show to dictate the topics. Jhead, I know we had a couple of subscribers at Auburn Live on 3 who were not going to be able to make the show tonight, and I can relate. Jessica is on baseball assignment tonight. So we were on flag football assignment last night. She's got baseball assignment tonight. So we had a couple of subscribers saying, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it. Threw a couple of questions at you to get us started off on the show, man. What you got for us?
Absolutely. And before we get into this, let's do some dirty business here. Everybody that's watching this channel tonight, like and subscribe. Please do my man a favor. Zach puts a lot of work into this show. You guys will never know how much work he actually does, but help us out here. Hit that nice subscribe button, like this show, hook us up. So let's get into these questions. And Cole, let's start with you, and then let's let you answer this first, and I'll come back in.
All right.
So the question is, do you think the team was looking ahead to Penn State, or is this a team who they are? I mean, is this just who we are against San Jose State?
I think if you ask Brian Harsin, he would say, no. We were looking at San Jose State. We worked on them all week, and they probably did, okay? I'm not saying he's a liar. I'm saying, yes, the players probably knew about the Penn State game coming up. They want revenge, okay? They want revenge from last year. They get to host them in their house. It's easy to overlook a team like San Jose State. It's not it's just human, right? You look at them and go, we overmatched them. I mean, it's just part of being a player. So I would say they probably did a little bit. I don't think Brian Harsin and the coaching staff did. I think they were focused on San Jose State. They know what Penn State's about. They knew they were going to get right into it after the game. I think the players probably did a little bit. I'm not saying that affected performance on the field, just that they probably, had Penn State in mind.
Jeffrey, what do you think?
I hate the whole looking ahead thing. I don't buy it. I do buy the players because I know they're just kids. They really are. I mean, as much as we want to think they're grown ass men, they're just kids, man. And this Penn State game's been circling on that freaking schedule since last year. Let's be honest here, man. And so I understand it's hard. I don't want to use that as an excuse, though. Auburn played some bad football. They played some bad football Saturday night. And there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for all those penalties. There's no excuses for the turnovers. There's no excuses for the lack of turnovers. That has to change. And I think I said this morning, if Auburn plays without turning the football over, without killing themselves in penalties, they should win this football game. If they do the same thing they did a week ago, they'll get their asses blown out.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, we couldn't be more aligned with how we see this. And you're right. It is hard to get 18 to 22-year-olds completely focused week in and week out, especially when San Jose State played Portland State in a shootout the week before. Yeah. You're thinking, okay, we just beat, Mercer, who's a significantly better team than Portland State. We're going to roll these guys. We're looking ahead. But you're right. You cannot excuse the brand of football that we played, and we were completely unfocused. To me, it was the penalties. The penalties were just nuts. And our quarterback play for the first half, probably until TJ hit John Samuel Schenker on that one play where he picked up the first down. That's kind of when TJ's play started to elevate thereafter. Yeah. And I will say this for TJ. If he plays like he played in the second half against Penn State, that's the best he's looked in the orange and blue, okay? Yep. That is the absolute best TJ's looked in an Auburn uniform in that second half against San Jose. If we get that TJ, we win this game. I firmly believe that. Now, I don't think he's going to be asked to do too much. I think we're going to pound the rock, and we're going to force Penn State to beat us, by us not making mistakes. But if he can be efficient and throw for over 65% like he did in the second half against San Jose, we're going to be looking good, guys. I honestly believe that.
Agreed.
Hey, I'll tell you what, man. That San Jose State quarterback is a damn good ball player, ain't he?
I'm telling you.
Hey,
I mean –
people told me before the game that I hyped him up too much. I got a message saying, hey, you hyped him up a little bit too much. It's San Jose State, man. I said, hey, this cat's been at Hawaii, and he's been doing it there. He's been doing it for a long time. He's a good player.
The second time I watched the game, which the first time Cole and I just did our best live down watching the field, but the second time watching the replay, this is what I thought. If Auburn had that quarterback,
yeah,
they'd be. Well, I hate to say that. I don't want to dump on TJ and Robbie and all that, but man, if Auburn had that, he would be an upgrade in my opinion.
If we had, if our quarterbacks performed to the level that he performed,
there you go.
That's the issue is that we have guys that are capable that just did not perform up to expectation.
Much more PR. Correct.
I'm PC. Workshop that answer a little bit before we got on tonight. Guys.
Much better PC. Absolutely. Jhead, any other? I thought there was a Gomer had a question.
Yep, we got two more. So
okay.
Gomer had one, and AU Accountant 55.
There you go. That's right.
With AU Accountant, do you think we open it up more with TJ and try to run play defense Saturday? Also, who has surprised you the most so far, and who has disappointed because they have not played yet? Who surprised? I'm going to have to say, even though he had some preseason buzz, I really liked what I saw from Keontae Scott to this point.
Ooh, yeah.
I thought that he was probably him and DJ James were our two best cover corners in that game. And this is not a shot at Jalen Simpson and Pritchett, but unfortunately to this point, both guys have given up plays in phase. They have not played tighter coverage or the kind of coverage that I've liked to have seen. Maybe that's some of that by design. We've had a lot of soft coverage, a lot of zone. And I don't know if we're giving that look so that we're setting Penn State up or if this is just a byproduct of what our defensive coordinator thinks our guys do well. But to this point, I thought DJ James and Keontae Scott played better in that game than our two starters.
Yep.
And as far as somebody that hasn't played to this point, I'll go with a guy that hasn't played a lot, Wesley Steiner. I thought he filled the hole really, really well on Saturday night. I mean, one shot, he absolutely blew the halfback up. So
Yeah, he did.
I would love to see Steiner get more reps at the mic and see OP be able to flex off to the wheel or even the money in nickel situations where he's a little bit more comfortable playing in space.
Yep.
Hey, I'm going to go real with mine real quick. Surprises as far as surprises go. To me, Marcus Harris.
Oh, yeah.
Dude was a beast. At least they couldn't block him. He was Nick Fairley-ish that first quarter and a half. He was really good. He was really good. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to throw a little bone to the true freshman Deuces. Damari Austin, son.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Read that hole beautifully, did he not?
If that's your third string back, you got some – and Auburn does have some horses because Tank is what we talked about last week or whenever it was. He's looking more of the freshman Tank than I've seen since he was a freshman. You're not losing much with Jarquez back there, and you bring in a little true freshman. Woo! That was impressive to see. So Marcus Harris, Damari Austin for me. Cole?
My surprise, the one that's playing well to me is Wesley Steiner. I think he needs more reps. That was mine. And then my surprise, the other way, is Nehemiah Pritchett. I just haven't seen him, I know he's on some draft boards, and he should be because he's got the talent. Just as far as executing what he's supposed to do, I think just a little bit left to be desired.
Okay.
Yep.
See if he picks it up this week. He's got a much better matchup.
Jim Nagy had him on the seniors creating buzz list today, and I was like, and I think most everybody that watched his Auburn was like, are they watching the same game?
Where he excels, if you watch him in press man, that his length creates significant issues. But they've played a lot of off man, a lot of zone, and to me, that just doesn't accentuate his skill set all that well.
Yeah.
So I think given a different look defensively in the back end, it potentially, and look, we could be getting ready to play a ton of man-to-man to create some issues in their play action game to try to jam them at the line to throw things off schedule. So this week.
Pritchett's best year was the last year with Kevin Steele when he was running man almost every snap.
100%.
He had his best year then. He had a great game against Alabama as like a sophomore or whatever he was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not playing bad. Don't get me wrong. He's still making good plays. He's just missing a few that you go, golly, you got to make that play.
Yeah.
You got to. And you watch DJ James, and he's locked down on some guys.
Woo.
And you go,
he needed that big Saturday night, did he not?
Yeah.
Yeah, we almost had that one. Needed that one.
Yep.
Speaking of soft zone, Jhead, I think Gomer had a question about that.
He sure did.
Gomer come home.
So he's got multiple questions, but we'll start with this one. And Jay Lee, I want to get your take on this, and I'll tell you what I'm hearing. But McGlynn in the interim, and what if chances he becomes the permanent? What do you think?
I'm biased here. I like Rich.
Right.
I think he's a great person. I think he handled the Cam Newton stuff beautifully. Going back that far. Now it was 12 years ago. Seems like yesterday. I don't know about other things with other coaches. I've heard things. But as far as I know, I like it. But again, I'm biased.
Gotcha.
I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know if he can handle this or lead that or do that. I know him personally, and he's a great guy. He's a great guy. So I'm happy for him. I really don't know how to judge ADs other than the hires, right? I mean, what are we judging them on? Like, I really don't know. I'm just an amateur.
No, I'm kind of with you.
What am I supposed to judge him on? How much money he can raise, or the coaches he hires? What are we grading him on?
What's the criteria, right?
Yeah, right.
Does anybody truly know, outside of other athletic administrators, know what makes a great AD?
Alan Green was a great person, but apparently he was not a great AD. I have no idea why.
Correct. So
it may be who's, where does the money go? Who's happy about where the money's going? That today seems to be the main thing with an AD. Are you letting the money go here? Are you holding it back here? That kind of thing. Maybe that's the key.
Earmarking,
raising said money. Who can align boosters in certain directions to participate more in certain fundraising contributions. the messaging that you're putting out there as far as who's in charge and the direction of the overall program. I think those are all things that come into consideration. And what I have heard so far, and I would advocate to anybody that's listening to this show, whatever Justin Hokanson reports, probably listen to what he's going to say, because he's probably a little bit more tied in than myself. But what I've heard since last week was that we were trending towards a long-term interim situation. I'm glad to see that it was Rich. I think he has a very good relationship with Bruce Pearl. I thought he handled that situation beautifully, in addition to the Cam Newton situation. And I think he'll handle things very well in the interim, but that we are looking to the outside for someone with a business background because of the changing landscape in college sports, potentially with pay for play coming in, these new TV contracts and the revenue that's going to be coming from that. So somebody that has a better feel potentially. Now, I'm not saying that it couldn't be Rich or that it couldn't be Tim Jackson for that matter. I think both of those guys are still going to be candidates. But as of now, it feels like the messaging coming from Sanford Hall is that it's going to be an outside hire and somebody that's proactive and that can carry us into this, this changing landscape and feel very comfortable in those upcoming changes.
Yeah, if somebody would to give me a criteria on how to grade an AD, I could probably do my checklist and let you know my more educated opinion. But, I know Allen was trying to cut budgets. I know that pissed a lot of people off, the bus rides and all that shit. I understand that. Like that was kind of a peasant. Auburn doesn't have peasants. So I get that. So to me, for Allen Green, it was, okay, who have you hired? So that's all I really know about ADs is who you hired. I know Rich is doing a great job. Brett Whiteside and those guys at On to Victory are working. Rich is going to keep Auburn clean.
Yes.
That's, to me, is one of the most important things about an AD.
Particularly at a place like Auburn that swears every time we stick our hand in the cookie jar, we get caught anyway.
Absolutely.
We'll have somebody it's going to protect that from happening in the first place.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Speaking of that, the lack of separation by our wide receiver core besides JJ, has that surprised anyone?
Cole, let's see you, big dog.
I'll tell you what. On my reviews, I think compared to last year, they're getting a little bit more separation as a group. I don't think it's where it needs to be. I think they need to get more separation, obviously. But they're getting a little bit better. I can see, maybe some progress with those guys as a group. And man, I put this on the board today on the corner. You got to go to JJ. That's the well, man. Go to it deep, 20 plus yards downfield, 5 to 7 times a game. I think that should be the plan.
Somebody that's not getting a lot of burn, 16 snaps in the first game, 25 in the second. That's not enough for your leading play.
It could be by design, maybe. I don't know. I don't know that. I'm just speculating.
Which is almost what's going to bring us to the last part of that question. I think, Gomer, is that soft zone. Am I going the right direction, Jhead?
So you are. So there's another question for you, Jay Lee, embedded within that. Zach, we're going to get a lightning round in here real quick, and then we'll get our next person on. I know you got them holding. So it was the passive rather than attacking defensive concepts we've seen while being told otherwise earlier. Are you surprised by that?
Are they staying basic? Or they, do they not want to show anything? Penn State's a damn important game for these guys, man.
All right. So this is going to be me theorizing here, but I believe we've played extremely vanilla because we did not want to tip our hand at all. And I also think that they feel like it's necessary for them to learn how to play some soft zone for later in the season. These were 2 games that you could basically very basic concepts, not have to do anything exotic or anything to tip your hand for how you plan to play Penn State. So throw something on tape that they're unfamiliar with and then change scheme to a degree. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a complete wholesale change, but I think they're going to make some tweaks in the back end to make things a little tighter this coming week. And then last but not least, go ahead, Cole. I'm sorry.
I just added that real quick. I think they're being vanilla to an extent. I think when they got in a tough spot the other night, they opened it up a little bit, had that concept that I put on the board about the Seahawks ran it last night for a touchdown, used that. They hit it, a couple more of those, but it is pretty vanilla. I agree with you.
Jay Lee, what is your opinion on JUCO OL Blackstock from Coffeyville Community College and how
Huge.
he's responding to AU?
And how what?
Move.
And how he's what, Jhead?
Let's see. It said, how's he responding to AU?
Oh my God! Well, I talked to Keith about this kid, and if you remember Auburn Live on 3, you've read the stories that Keith has had and the notes that Keith had. This kid, his father is a absolute diehard Auburn fan. He actually and literally cried tears of joy when he learned his son got an offer from Auburn. This kid's from Newton, Georgia, Covington High School. Auburn's had a lot of success there, not only in football but in basketball as well. He's got 3 to play 2. He's got games on Saturday at Coffeyville Community College, so he's not going to be able to get to Auburn until December, which might not be a bad thing because he sounds like he could pop. He could pop at any point, right? Yeah. And you really don't want JUCOs early, especially when you want to sign a big high school class like Auburn's doing. So I have him on. I would have him as in my class projection.
Good.
Zach, my bad. Let's hit it. We appreciate people calling in, man. Y'all give us a call, 701-779-9585. Zach, let's go to the lines.
615, you're live. Who we
Nashville.
Talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Lord George from Nashville.
LG.
What's
There
up?
he is. There he is.
Evening, gentlemen.
Evening.
Man,
How about you?
I was so excited. I called the Jessica. I saw the first number.
Did you tell her we sent you?
Well, she called back while I was on hold.
She thought you was a client, big dog. I'm telling you, she don't miss calls, man.
Hey,
that's
that's
why
what
y'all
I'm
need to
talking
come. She is the best.
Yeah, anyway, man, stoked for this game. I went up last year to the Penn State game. Obviously wasn't happy with the outcome, but it was a hell of a game, hell of an environment. I think Mark Murphy said on a podcast or something that was probably one of the best games of the year, as far as a good battle and stuff. So obviously looking forward to this one, and looks like nice weather too. But anyway, you guys had touched on it, I think, earlier about sort of like, are they scheming ahead? Are they hiding stuff? So I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, but I was going to say that I listened to James Franklin's presser today, and he talked about last week going with extra piping in crowd noise, and the players were like, what the hell are you doing? We're playing Ohio. And then earlier, I guess in the summer, closing in the indoor facility to make it hotter and stuff like that. So obviously coaches are scheming ahead, and I guess what makes me really sort of want to dive into that is last season, the FCS opponents, we basically boat raced them. And then this year we just seem to barely, win by a touchdown or two. So anyway, that's my question. Looking forward to the weekend. I'll let you guys go. Thanks a lot.
Hey, appreciate you, LG. Last year, Auburn boat raced these opponents. This year, not so much.
All right. So number one, I would say that San Jose is a significantly better program than Akron. Akron was completely and utterly just inept, and I believe they fired their head coach.
Yeah.
I think 6 games into the season.
Yeah, they did.
It was bad news bears on their end as far as that's concerned. And to me, Mercer is a significantly better program than Alabama State. Now, once again, you want to see more from your team at this point. But does it really tell you anything, whether we beat these guys by 7 or you beat them by 50 when you're playing an inferior opponent? Does it really let you know any more about your team? Obviously, when we played Penn State last year, that was the measure of where we truly stood. I think this is where you're going to find out. This is where the rubber meets the road against Penn State again this year. I don't think that you've seen anything to this point that's indicative of what Auburn's ceiling or potential truly is.
Hey, how badly do you think Notre Dame, Texas A&M would have taken an 8-point win?
All right,
man.
I will say this. Yeah, I will say this. And then, look, I'm going to give my take on Jimbo's contract here in a second. But listen, I never want to give an Alabama guy credit on an Auburn platform. But Gene Stallings once said, and I quote, "These aren't big games till you lose one." All right? tell me Jimbo Fisher doesn't realize how big of a game Appalachian State is right now.
No doubt.
You just paid a G5 team from the Sun Belt $1.5 million to come to your house and hold you to less than 100 yards passing and 100 yards rushing. So less than 200 yards of total offense. And you're supposed to be an offensive genius with a $94 million buyout. $94 million buyout. Do you know what Texas A&M fans feel like right now? You know, they drank that Kool-Aid of that white and maroon Kool-Aid all off season about the #1 recruiting class and Jimbo beating Alabama. And now they feel like, you know what? They were hanging out till about 2 a.m. at the supper club. And then they stopped by McDonald's on the way home. And that fast food's just sitting in their stomach the next day. And they feel sick, man. They feel sick and nauseous. Ugh.
My biggest gripe about A&M was the cheerleader.
Oh,
I wish somebody. I wish one of them hillbilly rednecks go up there and whoop his ass.
Boy, that right there. I couldn't hardly make it through that. I was like, oh no, he did not.
Guarantee you, he would not have done the same thing to any other kind of people.
No.
He won't be doing it again. I promise you that.
No.
Did he get canceled yet?
I hope so.
I mean, if he goes back out there, he's not making fun of anybody. I don't care who they play. Better respect them this week.
I mean, before we get to this next caller, there are two things can be true. Jimbo's overrated, but when are Power 5 teams going to realize App State isn't coming in there to collect the check? They're coming in there to collect the win and the check.
Jump in here, Big Zach.
All right, so this is where I agree with you, but North Carolina ran up 55 points on App State the week before and over 400-something yards. A&M couldn't get 200 in their house in College Station? That is brutal, man.
They didn't have Calzada.
No. They didn't have Max Johnson either.
Man, they need to try him, don't they?
We got a special guest joining us, it looks like.
Yes, we do.
Oh, Keith the buyer. Nibber, yeah. That's
I
what
like
I said. Keith, thanks for joining us, big dog. We're about to get to some good recruiting stuff. Before we go any farther, I want to say a big how about you to Jack Singley. Jumped in the chat on the YouTube channel. Please go check out if you're probably on our YouTube channel. Man, like and subscribe to our channel. Hit those notifications, man. You'll get notifications every time we go live or upload videos, man. It's really good. Also, Braden Hawk asked about the orange jerseys, and I'm here to put that rumor to bed. There will be no orange jerseys Saturday against
I think he's on the call line. He's our next caller.
Is he really?
Bring him on.
Okay, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Introduce yourself, but it said Braden Hawk, so you're live, man.
How's it going?
Braden, talk to me, big dog, or I'll talk to you. I was just about to address you anyways. There will be no. Yeah, we can hear you.
How y'all doing?
Pretty good.
I'll be doing better if you close that car door.
I'll shut the door now, man. Well, let me tell you something. First, I want to say I love the show. I love the content. I love the corner. I can't get enough of it.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic, Braden. I'm glad to hear that, man.
I want to call out one guy on the corner, though. Taylor Made. He's an idiot, man. Y'all need to kick his ass off.
He's on the chopping block.
I'm just kidding, but
I'm not.
I was calling to say that I'm really looking forward to this weekend. I really think Carson's going to get it together this weekend. I'm hoping, but I think he has a lot riding on the line. You know, this is the make or break game for him. You know, in my opinion, like if he goes out there and shits the bed, man, he's done. In my opinion. What do y'all think?
No, not done.
I don't think it's that imminent. No, I don't think it's that imminent. I think he needs to win the game very badly.
Are you talking about Scott Frost done?
No.
I think we all agree no.
No, not getting fired in the season. I'm just talking about, like, it's just not a good look.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
No, listen, I think anytime you have a Power 5 opponent in your house that's a comparable team to you, that's a signature victory that you need, specifically as it pertains to recruiting. Okay?
Right.
Stability is what drives perception. Okay. Or perception is what drives stability. Let me put it like that. Getting this feather in his cap would be absolutely massive. If he doesn't, it's not the end of the world, because you have 2 games coming up at home in Missouri and LSU that can help right the ship. Obviously, you got to travel to Georgia after that, and then you got another winnable game in Oxford after that. If you can figure out a way to win 3 out of the next 6, you know what I mean? I think you're still in a very good position as far as that's concerned.
Yeah.
So you would be looking at what, 5 and 6 at that point? Best finish of 7 and 5.
Probably best finish 7 and 5, 8 and 5 with a bowl win.
Hey, I don't disagree with that. I think this is the difference between a 7 or an 8-win season.
I do too.
Well, potentially a 7 to a 9 game. 9
Sure.
wins,
Yeah, sure.
right? You know what I mean? Because listen, you can say what you want, but that 9 with a bowl game win looks a hell of a lot better than an 8.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's kind of like last year. You have to be competitive in this game. You cannot get blown out. You have to be in it all the way to the fourth quarter. And, you got a whole conference schedule coming after that you need to do well in, might be even more important. So, the prestige of the game is building as the week goes on, and you got to win it to look good, but you don't have to win it to keep your job. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Right.
Keith, what do you think? You've been quiet down there, my man.
I mean, listen, is this how Jack Nicholson was treated when he went on Johnny Carson? Did he have to wait for Carrot Top to do a 3-minute set before he got to sit on the couch next to Ed McMahon? I mean, come on, guys, let's.
So I'm Carrot Top in this scenario. I like it, Keith.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, look, they don't call me Negative Niebuhr for nothing, okay? I'm just going to be honest. I mean, I've got some concerns for Auburn right now. You guys seem to feel a lot better about them than I do. I mean, I'm going through everything the first few weeks, and I'm like, the quarterback play has been, quite frankly, not where it should have been. Running game's been okay. Offensive line, receivers, not getting open a lot, not doing anything special after the catch overall. Tight ends, a couple good plays here and there, but some big penalties. Kicking game, just so-so. Defensive line, not dominant, not terrible, but not dominant. Linebackers, okay. Secondary, not what we thought they would be. A team that hasn't created any turnovers yet, right? I got some concerns, okay?
Hey, Keith, thanks for joining us, buddy. I appreciate it.
As you should.
But you're right in one respect, is that you don't really find out about a team. Now, if you lose those games, sure, it's obviously horrible, but you don't really find out the true makeup of a team until they play a game like this. So there's that too. You got all the negative, you've got all the concerns, but then nobody's talking about those concerns if Auburn goes out and wins 27-10 this weekend, right?
Keith, one of the things I thought you said best, and I think it was Monday on Inside the 20 with you and me, but maybe it was just you and me talking off air. But we talk about, hey, there's a winnable game in Ole Miss, there's a winnable game in Missouri, there's a winnable game at Mississippi State. How do you think those fans feel about Auburn? They're looking at Auburn going, man, that's a winnable game right there.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
I thought that was a wonderful point.
Maybe Missouri's not right now, but again, look, it's a long season. I mean, so many people think they can figure everything out after one game, and then can figure even more out after 2 games. Well, again, there was that season Auburn barely beat Mercer and almost played made the playoff, right? So you can't. We won't know much about these teams until after they start playing 3 or 4 big games. I mean, Auburn theoretically could go out and lay a big egg against Penn State and still finish 8-9 wins. We don't know, or the opposite could happen. Remember last year, there's always an overreaction to these games. Penn State won, and we're thinking, hey, they look like 2 pretty good teams. Penn State's going to be something. They won 7 games. They weren't that good.
And Auburn won 6 or 5.
We just don't know. Don't know. I guess the question is, a lot of people are like, so much is on Brian Harsin, and I look at it a different way. I think we're going to learn. I already know that this guy can coach. Okay, I think he's a pretty good coach. Now, has he made some missteps in different games? Of course, they all do. That's the challenge of being a head coach. You can't be perfect every week. And by the way, the guy on the other sideline, he's generally, he knows what he's doing too. Otherwise, he wouldn't have one of these jobs. To me, the question, what we don't know isn't whether these guys can coach. I think they can. We just don't know if Auburn has the dudes. That's my opinion. I don't know when I look at Auburn right now. Do they have the dudes to win 8 or 9 games? We'll know more after this weekend and after the next weekend. And by the time they finished with LSU, we will have a big enough sample size. But I don't know definitively right now. I think you're taking a real leap of faith if you say this is a 9-win team based on what you've seen so far. Or the counter to that, they haven't played great. We know that. But, you're always due for a bad game here. There are a lot of people have them. But we just don't know yet. We don't know. We'll know a little bit more this weekend as we look at each matchup. How does Owen Popo do against this guy? How does Marcus Harris do against this offensive line? We'll have a much better idea of what kind of dudes Auburn has after this weekend.
Speaking of dudes, Zach, do we have anybody on hold?
Yeah, we got
Okay,
one more.
roll it in. Hey, thanks, Braden. We appreciate you, big dog.
Thanks, Braden.
251. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Shout out.
Hey, what's up, Jhead?
All righty. So I pitched this question to Keith on his post for potential 4-town questions, but I'll go ahead and throw it to y'all now if that's good.
Sure. Keith, there you go, man.
Go right ahead, man.
All righty. So, looking around, you see the A&M loss, the brutal Notre Dame loss, and LSU missing an extra point. One of these teams that we're in, recruiting battles with, which one of them, if they were to implode, do you think would be best for Auburn?
We're talking about which teams, Notre Dame or who else?
Yeah, like Notre Dame, LSU.
Boy, that's a tough call. I mean, okay, let's go school by school, and I'll be quick, and then I want to let these guys get back to their show here. Notre Dame, I think recruits are generally going to give Marcus Freeman the benefit of the doubt because he's a first-year coach, right? So they're going to let him build his program, let things happen. And look, he's 0-3 out of the gate, but one loss was to a very good Oklahoma State. One loss was to a very good Ohio State team. So only the only one that's unforgivable is the one that just happened. So I think people are going to be patient with him. LSU, even if they go 6-6, and by the way, I happen to think, and I wonder if you guys agree, they're going to get better. I have a feeling LSU is going to beat somebody this season, okay? And they're going to get better. And Brian Kelly, LSU's always going to recruit well in state, okay? So that's going to be a tough one. Even if they stink, how many guys is Auburn going to go get out of that state? Now, LSU, do they recruit in Georgia? Sure. That's where you could maybe do something. But maybe, believe it or not, Texas A&M, because that one's just a little bit, that's a really good question now I think about it. But Auburn does have some staying power in Texas, it looks like. They do have some inroads. This staff does. The previous staff did. Maybe LSU, even though, again, getting guys out of Louisiana is always going to be difficult. But with LSU kind of getting entrenched in Florida and Georgia and those two states, if they can't get it going, then it probably helps Auburn. But here's the deal. Those are first-year coaches. They go 6-6 this year, and it ain't going to matter. But Jimbo, if he goes 6-6, the wheels could really come off with that program. So, okay, let me flip my answer to Texas A&M.
I'm actually going to go at Notre Dame, Keith, and it's because, look, everybody else that you mentioned has a proven track record. Okay, Brian Kelly has a proven track record. You know that he's going to be able to get it right. You really don't know with Marcus Freeman. He is an extremely young guy, and there's probably as big a recruit as Jhead Nosberry is, what he would mean to this class. And I looked at the schedule. I mean, they got BYU coming up. They got SC coming up. Notre Dame could really find themselves 5-7 this year.
Yeah.
They could find themselves seriously underperforming, and it would be a huge feather in Brian Harson's cap and Zach Etheridge's cap and C-Rob to be able to get Jhead Nosberry in this class. So I'm going to go Notre Dame tanking this year because of the lack of a resume for Marcus Freeman, because you don't know what it's going to foreshadow.
Sorry, Jhead, I didn't mean to interrupt. I guess my question would be if Notre Dame is 5-7 or 6-6, how many wins would Auburn need to kind of
capitalize on it?
Yeah. And then the other point is, by the way, BYU has Notre Dame and Arkansas in back-to-back weeks. If BYU wins both those games, they're going to the playoff, guys.
I agree. Yeah. We couldn't be more aligned on that, Keith.
Yeah. I'll go with LSU, and it's not just to be different. I was thinking LSU the whole time. The reason is because Auburn has tried really hard to, make a pipeline there in Louisiana. Number one, they got some guys on staff from Louisiana, Ike Hilliard, Javon Reed, trying to get those recruits from there. And then I'll go with perception, which, keep in mind, is not always reality. But perception is that Brian Kelly's not a great fit at LSU. It's been that since he got there. And if he loses, this year, if he doesn't have a good year, then perception would probably grow in that regard, that he's not a good fit. And that would get back to recruits. And just like Keith said earlier, we know Brian Harsin can coach, but the perception out there about him was that he was not a good fit at Auburn, and then it all blew up. So I'm thinking, I don't know if it would blow up like that at LSU. Don't get me wrong. Just saying, maybe that's something. The perception, man, it runs wild these days. So I just think that's a big reason.
Last point. Could it be that it's more of what Auburn has to do going in the
definitely.
Than what those three would do going in the negative direction?
Yeah, because if Auburn doesn't win 8, Keith, then all this is a moot point anyway.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yep.
You're right. Hey, let's hit these callers real quick, Zach. Hey, thanks, Jhead. I appreciate you, big dog. You're a loyal subscriber, listener, caller, man. We appreciate the hell out of you.
Yes.
Fantastic question, by the way. We could probably talk about that for another hour.
Oh,
Yeah.
easily.
Well, I should probably fade out here. This is y'all's show.
No, man, stick around, man. Unless you
Yeah,
gotta go drop a deuce.
What do you think I've been doing the last 20 minutes?
Keith's notorious, dude. He's a deuce dropper.
3365, you're live. Who's calling in? Where are you calling from?
What up, fellas? It's Bo from Birmingham, man.
Bo from Birmingham or Bo from Moody?
I thought it was Bo from Moody.
Yeah, it's Moody, man. In the vicinity.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Outskirts of Birmingham.
He's changing up on us.
Yeah, he's trying to call in anonymously.
hey, you forgot where you live. It's all right.
Good questions, man. What about Camden Brown? Why ain't he playing any?
Good question, Bo. I can't answer that. Other than we've been limited from a rep standpoint, I don't think we've run a ton of offensive plays. What was it, 62 in the first game? And I think we weren't much more than that in the second. So it's just as ineffective as our passing game was in the first half. We changed game plans in the second half and decided to run the football down San Jose's throat.
Yeah.
Moved to more of a play action down the field passing game, Bo. So there weren't a lot of opportunities. I think his reps did go up. Didn't he get, 10?
Yeah. I think Justin will have the snap count on everybody, but I did notice in the game he was in there a couple more times, and Landon King was in there a couple more times. I saw Mari Kelly go in, and I saw Jay Fair go in. So maybe they're trying to get them going so they have a few more options in a game like Penn State.
Yeah, we just didn't throw the ball all that much.
I wondering, man. It just seems like they're not throwing to them.
No, they don't have anybody to throw to them right now, really.
I still go back. I still go back to this whole theory that, and I don't think you save everything for that first big game, but something just tells me I hate when people say they have a gut feeling, because that means it's not really based on anything. And here I'm going to say the same thing, but I just have a feeling there's going to be a red zone matchup this week, and he might be in there against the 5'10" corner or something like that. 5'10" nickel. Maybe that's when we see him.
Him or Landon King in that regard.
Yeah. And also, every week that goes by, he's not playing, but he's still getting a lot more practice reps. He's still growing. He's still getting better. He's still improving. He's still learning the offense. He's still building chemistry with his teammates, even though we don't see it.
Yeah.
It's still happening at practice. Maybe this week he's ready. Maybe not. But maybe this is the week.
Yeah, Friday I got my Camden Brown shirt, man.
I'm really looking forward to him playing.
Yeah, me too. Matter of fact, I talked to his dad before the game, who me and him we pretty good. Landy Brown, he's awesome, man. He brought me a CB shirt, and I left it at Jessica's, and I had to run home to do the show, or I was going to wear it. I'm going to wear it Friday for the recruiting show.
Nice.
Me and Mr. Landy, we were, and maybe if the game had gone a different way, maybe the way that we all thought it would, maybe you start to get some of these freshman wide receivers some reps, some targets at least. And it didn't go that way, like you said. The second half, Auburn pounced the ball and gets out of there with the win.
I believe we're not showing nothing, man. It was just another the whole thing.
Very possible, Bo. I mean, we kind of think the same thing, or maybe we hope that that's what's happening.
Yeah,
I can add a little bit to this, Bo. I've done the play script. If y'all have followed that on the board, I did the play script where I just go through, I act like I'm an opposing coach, and I say, okay, this is what they're doing here on this play. This is what they're doing on this play. I counted so far 1 3-man route combo, which is more of your more complex route combo. Everything else has been a 2-man route combo. And sometimes they go max protection, which means there's only 2 receivers out on the route. So that means there's not a lot of opportunities for other guys other than Jhead Jackson and Janoris Wilson, because those are your 2 guys that are on the routes most of the time.
right.
So I think they will open that up a little bit more, because the 3-man route combo they ran was the big throw to Janoris Wilson over the middle or over to the left side, the crosser that he hit.
Should have been a deep post or something, right? Jason Caldwell. We were watching that. I thought Jason thought he was a little late. He threw him out of bounds.
Yeah, he was late.
There's a new running back that's supposed to be visiting this week. Y'all know about him?
Say that again, Bo. I was reading Matt C's.
There's a new running back that's on the board that's visiting this week. Do you know anything about him?
Is he talking about Roderick Robinson? I don't know if he's visiting, but is that who he's talking about?
The big boy from California?
I don't think it's the one from UCLA, no.
It might be the 2024 kid from Alabama, the badass 2024 kid.
Jamarian Burnett.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Jamaria Burnett.
He is. Woo, he's stud, man.
All right. I appreciate y'all. Y'all the bomb, man.
Appreciate you, Big Bo.
Thank you, Bo.
All right. God bless y'all.
Don't be shy, Big Dog. You from Moody. Wear it proud. All right, let's hit it again, Zach.
5810. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep, gotcha.
Hey, how you doing? My name Anthony Smith from Montgomery.
Who?
Anthony Smith
From Montgomery.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
I got 2 statements or sort of kind of questions. I want to get you guys' opinion on it. First, do you guys miss Kevin Steele? Because I can not watch us play 10 yards off and get planted and hitched all the way down the field. I might throw up this weekend if I have to watch that again. I know y'all think we're playing a little vanilla, but my God. And I kind of got the feeling preseason when Simp said we're going to bend a little bit but not break. And that kind of, I caught that when he said that. So I was like, we still might be playing 10 yards off. Second point, I feel like Harson's getting a lot of flack. With everybody was bad at Gus towards the end of his tenure. We all know that. But with Harsin coming in, bringing the profile and everything, do you guys feel like he deserves a little bit more time to get his players in? And, it's hard to go in from a spread scheme and trying to go a pro scheme when you got, like, quick receivers. And now he's trying to get bigger, taller receivers in that can block on the edge and more tight ends and things of that nature. So I just want to get you guys' opinion on it. Also, I wanted to say, Cole, I love the game play-by-play after the game.
Appreciate it, man.
Keep it up. And where are you going? I'm going to hang up and let you guys finish.
Appreciate you, Anthony, man. Good call, dude. We appreciate that. Anthony from Montgomery. More time. Yeah, man. Anthony thinks more time to get his kind of, it's not like Auburn's going from Brett Bielema, to or who was it before Brett Bielema? It wasn't that big of a drop. I think a lot of the people were expecting a better transfer portal season, and that didn't happen.
Right.
What do y'all think? More time to get more Jimmy and Joes?
So what I would say is this.
Tough question, man.
Should he have more time? Yes.
Yeah.
Does he have more time? Realistically, no. It's unfortunate, but with the evolution of the transfer portal, it does make it easier to convert from a spread offense to a pro style offense. Now, traditionally speaking, it's much easier to go from pro style to spread. When you're moving from something that is sophisticated with option routes three-man combo routes, the blocking schemes, everything that's included, to more of a space game in the spread, it's a lot easier and a lot quicker to pick up. So there's some truth to what he's asking.
Sure.
In that, yes, he should have a little bit more time, but the ugly truth is he just doesn't have time, and we need to be able to execute with what we have right now. I think we do have players that can play in a pro-style system. I think he's a fantastic coach, but it boils down to execution. And we need to make sure that we execute a little bit better on the interior of the offensive line to create a little bit more push. And our receivers are going to have to do a better job of creating separation. I think Cole's right that they have done a better job this season by comparison to last year. But, what was the bar on that?
Yeah.
So exactly. I think they need an uptick here in production, and we'll see what they get this coming week against Penn State, because this is what it starts to count, guys. Everything that's happened at this point does not matter, in my opinion. We've won those football games, whether it was ugly or not. It's irrelevant. What happens against Penn State moving forward is what truly matters.
Good stuff. Hey, Anthony, good question, man. We appreciate your call. What you got for us, Zach?
Man, the call lines are going crazy.
Yeah, we'll try to rip them off. Not
7909. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
This is Peckerwood 10 from the board.
Peckerwood.
Fort Payne, Alabama.
Fort Payne.
Fort Payne.
What you got, Peckerwood?
Yes, sir. Hey, so it's kind of from a call-in earlier. I heard him ask about the LSU, Texas A&M. I can't remember who the other team was, but Notre Dame. Who it would be more beneficial to Auburn if they were to have a terrible season. My opinion on that would be Texas A&M, strictly off of that badass class that they signed last year. Those guys that they signed are not going to sit and hang around and watch Jimbo go 7-5, 6-6, and I think those guys be hitting transfer portal, and we're going to be hot in the transfer portal market next season, I would assume.
Yeah.
And those are guys that could probably plug in and play in year 2. Your opinion on that. Appreciate y'all guys. Y'all guys do it.
Appreciate you, Peckerwood. Good point, man. Good point.
Valid point. It all depends on where we have relationships, because realistically, we all know that you have to have an in with the transfer portal because things move at lightning speed. So
if you don't, somebody else does.
Exactly. If you don't have a built-in connection already, it makes it increasingly difficult to flip a kid from the portal. There's a lot that goes into it. And I'm sure Keith can talk more to that.
Here's my, first of all, the portal people, I think, sometimes think, and not to talk down to people, but, I think the perception is that we'll just go out as a program and get whoever we need. We can fill all our openings, all our spots, everything we need in the portal. But here's the issue. The guys that are really, really good and in high demand, you're right. They either have a connection with somebody already or you're going to have to beat out all the big boys, just like you do with the Elite 5-star. So it's not any easier. And don't forget this. I mean, even the Ohio States and Georgias of the world, they use the portal a little differently. They're not going out there to just survive. They're going out there for roster improvement. Yeah. And they're like, hey, we've already got 24 good starters, but can we get even better? And so there's that aspect too. And then also the third factor here, the third thing, schools at that point, if you're Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, whatever, USC, okay, here are the spots we need to fill in the portal. And then your NIL people also know. And they're going to know exactly how much it's going to take.
Yeah.
And so, it's basically, it's still going to be a battle. It is. So I think for Auburn, until Auburn gets back to that spot that we used to see it recruiting at, they're going to have to just crush it with evaluations in the portal.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is right now. Now, at some point, they're going to burst through. It's going to be like Kool-Aid running through the wall. At some point, they're going to start landing James Smiths and Quay Rousseaus again. And at some point, they're going to get an elite transfer. It just hadn't happened in a few years, but it's going to happen, and we don't know when. But it's tough. It's a challenge no matter what. There's no doubt. But look, Auburn may end up needing to get multiple, half dozen or so starters out of the portal. There's so much turnover off of there's going to be so much turnover off this current team. It's going to be a real challenge. But the opportunity's there. The opportunity do not have that.
Sorry, Keith. I'll tie in that question to the caller before. Does Brian Harsin need more time? That question. I want to see what he can do in the portal when he's got more playing time to sell on the offensive line and other places. I want to see that. I'm not saying it'll be good. I'm not saying it'll be bad. I want to see what he does. I think there's opportunity to get some good players because of that help in the portal this time, and I want to see if he can do it.
I mean, Jhead, I think you made this point a little earlier. I think, but the portal has basically it used to be a coach always got at least 3 years, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The portal, I mean, unless they were just a complete train wreck, right? The portal is, on the one hand, it's great because it'll help you rebuild quickly. You can build a team while you're building a program. On the other hand, the expectations of the fans and administrators is going to be such that, hey, you have an opportunity to be good every year. Why aren't you good every year? And so I think it used to be 3 years automatic for a guy. Now I think it's 2 years automatic for a guy. And that's it. The patience is lost. Move on to the next guy. I think that's how almost every college is going to be thinking from now on because of the portal.
The Lincoln Riley effect. Absolutely.
Mason Clinton, big Cole fan. Good to meet you, Cole. Hey, and Zach, that last guy, I think it was Philip Coleman, talking about the PTD, progress towards degree and transfer portal, really hurt Auburn this past cycle. So definitely something to keep an eye on moving forward with those opportunity to transfer credits, man. And that wasn't just blowing smoke, man. That was coming from people who would know that progress towards degree.
Yeah. And it wasn't just Auburn, Jeffrey. I mean, there were other teams that were affected. LSU's been affected by it. Other teams that utilized the transfer portal very heavy this past offseason. There were, one or two casualties for each of those teams.
Well, look at the because a lot of people, if you remember the Isaiah Land potential transfer, he ended up missing the first game this year. He was one of those 20-something FAMU players that had to miss the UNC game because he had progress to degree issues at his university.
Wow.
Due to bad academic advising.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
yeah. That's interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Got one last caller here.
Was that Peckerwood?
Yeah.
Okay. Appreciate you, Peckerwood.
2296. You're live. Who's calling in? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is CCR3.
Whoa.
What's up, buddy?
Credence.
Hey, man. So I was at the game Saturday, and a couple of observations I had. Number one, if Robbie's the type of quarterback guy you wouldn't want to challenge in a game of darts. It's going to be straight, perfect. It's coming in fast, but he's also a guy that you wouldn't want to challenge in a game of beer pong because there's absolutely no arc on that ball. I don't know if you guys have noticed that or not, but
yep.
The one thing, a couple observations I had was Steiner. I noticed him a lot more than I did Cam Riley.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if he was hurt.
We dropped the call.
It says
no, I'm here.
Okay.
He was asking, was he hurt? Is that why?
Oh, was he hurt?
No, yeah. I don't think he was hurt. I think Cam Riley was opportunistic at the beginning of the Mercer game, and they said, all right, let's roll with him. I like the way that's going.
He did have a tackle on the first play of the game. Remember that goal?
Oh,
Cam
yeah.
Riley, I think he made a tackle on kickoff or something.
On the kickoff, yeah, very nice.
Then we didn't hear much from him in the rest of the game.
He was solid. He didn't
okay.
stand out like he did before, but he played well, I think.
Okay.
I got you. Well, let me ask you, who is number 4 in the DB backfield?
That's Keontae, big dog.
Yeah. No, that's DJ.
Man,
boy, DJ, that's right. Keontae's 6.
Outstanding.
My guy,
He's
DJ James.
Corner. Now, Pritchett was getting picked on. But number 4 is locked down.
That's Cole's buddy, CCR.
He stood out. He just stood out.
Cole loves him some DJ James.
He stood out at Oregon.
TJ's got the ability to think quick and escape. Anytime he's under pressure, he comes through. I will say that much for him. Now,
DJ or TJ?
One question, and I'll let it go.
TJ?
Did we scale back the offensive game plan a lot? Because it looks like some basic pass routes going on out there that we're not trying to open guys up. And I'll hang up and listen. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you, Credence.
Yeah,
I'm assuming CCR's Credence.
I said it earlier on the show, CCR. If you, just really all I could see was that it was majority 2-man route combos, which is can be more complex, but that's sort of your more basic stuff in the passing game. They opened it up to 3-man later in the game, but yeah, I think those are, and maybe that's the offense. I don't know if they're going to open it up anymore. Okay. I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying they're doing 2-man route combos a lot. Okay. That's all I can really say to that.
Hey, I'm going to say this. I think Auburn went into half and said the only way we lose this game is if we keep throwing it to them. We're not going to do that.
Yeah,
we're going to go 2 tight ends. Remember this, Cole? You talked about this when we were watching the game. They went 2 tight ends and ran the football and said, if we're going to lose, we're not going to lose this game. And they didn't.
And let's talk about the INTs real quick. First on TJs, it wasn't like the Mercer game where they were just really bad throws. I mean, it was a little bit inside, but the defensive back made an exceptional play on the ball as far as that's concerned.
Yeah. Hey, Jhead, real quick about that guy. If y'all read my scouting reports, I try to give a detailed, nugget on each player.
Mm-hmm.
That guy did not play the week before.
Sure.
He is a transfer from USC.
I saw that on the replay.
There you go. Okay, so a P5 capable player that made an exceptional play on the ball. Granted, it was a little inside, but it wasn't an awful throw. And on Robbie's, he made a really nice read. But that whole shot throw that he tried to complete, that's got to be executed beautifully. And he had another guy short in the flat that he could have hit that was wide open. They probably would have picked up 6, 7. So really it's about getting off your first read. You know what I mean? Specifically, because if you don't have more touch than he has at this point, and that's something that's a work in progress with him because it looks like he's turning 2 from shortstop every time he throws the football.
Yeah, it does.
You know what I mean? That you need to make sure that you're throwing it where there's green grass, man.
Zach, are we caught up on calls?
We got one last one, then I'll shut down the call line so we can do everything. First, get the likes up. We got under 50 likes, over 225 people watching, so hit that like button.
Come on, smash it, baby. Smash it.
Please.
615, you're live. Who's calling in? Where are you calling from?
Last call, big dog.
This is Justin.
615.
How are y'all?
Great, Justin. Where are you calling from?
Good, brother. Good.
Nashville.
Oh, yeah. I know where it is.
So I don't post much on the board. I listen to it more than anything, or just read it more than anything. Read y'all stuff. It's entertaining for me more than anything.
It's part of it.
When I look at this team, I see a talent deficiency on the front line of the offense. If Harsin and this group get to stay and win enough games, will they be able to keep or get enough players on the front line to be legitimate SEC contenders? Because that is a huge worry on my part. I appreciate what y'all do on 3, and I'll hang up and listen. Thanks, guys.
Keith, this is a good one for you. Thank you, Justin. We appreciate the call, man. And Keith, we talked about this, or we will tomorrow in Inside the 20, but the offensive lineman, and that's how Kirby Smart really upgraded Georgia from a Mark Richt 10-win team to a Kirby Smart championship caliber team, was in the trenches. Yeah. And we talked about the offensive lineman coming in this weekend. Just this weekend, Keith, I'm going to go over the list real quick right here. Kelton Smith, Georgia commitment. Bo Hughley, Georgia commitment. Raquez McElderry, Alabama commitment is coming down. Janoris Wilson will be in town. DJ Chester will be in town. And Paul Mubinga, the 3-star offensive lineman from Buford, will be in town. You got 5 of Auburn's top. Listen, if they want to get this program back to a championship competing team, even if it's once every 2 or 3 years, like Auburn historically is, right? I mean, Auburn's not been a Georgia or an Alabama in a long time. But if they're going to do that, they're going to have to do it with offensive line. That's where it's going to start, and defensive line. Keith, how do you see that playing out?
Yeah, okay, first and foremost, Auburn's going to be fishing from 3 different ponds for offensive line. High school, junior college, transfer market. They can't neglect any of the 3. We think 4 to 5 high school linemen that you can come in, develop. Maybe one of them is good enough to play right away. Hopefully all of them are good enough to be in year 3 deep and possibly 2 deep. Junior college guys come in. You're going to want them to push for starting playing time. You're going to go after 2 to 3 high-level junior college guys. Transfer market, same deal. 1, 2, 3, maybe 3. I mean, look, they need guys. They're losing up to 7 of their top offensive linemen this year. By the end of the season, we're going to forget about Nick Brahms because he's hurt and isn't playing anymore, but that counts as one as well. So you've got to replenish the whole offensive line. And by the way, even if Tate Johnson has a good season, let's say at center, you're not just going to neglect that position. You're always trying to recruit for each position. You're literally trying to over-recruit the guys you just signed every year. Okay. You know, so they can't neglect any of those 3. They've got a lot of irons in the fire, but it's going to take a lot of work. They're going to need some truly good high school players that within a couple of years can be ready to start. The junior college guys are going to have to be ready to compete and contribute in year 1, and the transfer guys, obviously, that too. So the opportunity is there. You didn't always have this opportunity with the transfer market, but you can sell all 3 on. Look, let's be honest. Even though they're losing all these guys, most high school offensive linemen, they're generally some of the smartest guys on their teams. Okay. They're smart guys, high IQ guys. They know that it's hard to start in year 1. They don't expect that. They know that it takes development. But you can tell them, hey, within a couple of years, you could be starting. That resonates with them more than, hey, I'm going to come right in. Because they know that if you're telling them you're going to come right in and start right away on the offensive line, you probably have a weak program at that point. They don't want to hear that either. They want to be – these are different kind of guys. Receivers want to be told they can start from day 1, and running backs and DBs. But offensive linemen know that there's a hell of a big challenge ahead of them. The JUCO guys, though, they need to know that they're going to be able to start from day 1 if they come in and do what they're told to do. And then obviously at that point, you'll know what you have left after the early signing period and the late signing period. Have you addressed your needs? How many of them have you addressed? How many spots do you have remaining for transfer guys? And then you'll be able to really go to those guys and show them exactly what you have and don't have. Okay. It'll all be right there. It'll be clear as day. And they're going to have, there's no doubt about it. The last 2 years, they haven't really crushed it on the transfer market with offensive linemen. They've got to this time. They absolutely have to. They know that. And the opportunity's there. And it was a little harder last year because Brahms, Troxel, those guys were, ended up coming back. But I think at one time that was unknown. They were still going after transfers. And as they kind of maybe weren't getting that many guys, then they kind of talked Brahms and Troxel to come back. So the opportunity's there, though. I think it's there.
Was the last transfer offensive lineman Auburn got, was that the kid from Massachusetts?
Brandon Council from Akron would have been the last.
Brandon Council. There you go.
Jack Driscoll. They've actually, look.
Jack Driscoll, yeah.
Even Malzahn, I mean, if he doesn't get key transfers, who knows what Auburn has? I mean, don't forget Darius James, 5-star transfer from Texas, Jack Driscoll. Casey Dunn from Jacksonville State. I mean, what happens if they don't get those guys? Now, the flip side of that is once you got those guys, then it might have hurt you with high school guys, the next cycle. Hey, well, I'm not going to be able to come in and start. Now, Dunn, I don't think he was just there for 1 year. Austin,
Golson.
Golson from Ole Miss. I mean, so they've done very well in the transfer market in the past, and now they're going to have to do it again. But look, if you get Tate Johnson could, if he's starting now and performing at a decent level, you assume he's going to get better, right? And then who else on the O-line could be back? There's not a lot of guys. You got Jeremiah Wright's back on the offensive line, and we assume he's going to be good.
Cam Stutz and Keandre Jones both returning.
But Keandre Jones, now that's an interesting one. He doesn't have to come back, and he's not starting right now. What's he think about that?
His situation feels eerily similar to Tayshaun Manning last year.
Yeah,
you thought for sure he was going to be the starter. Something happened,
So, but if you have 2 starters back, Jhead, then you can grab those high school guys, maybe find another 1 or 2 starters out of the JUCOs, maybe just one.
Yep.
Maybe Jeremiah Wright becomes a starter. And then all of a sudden you just need maybe 2 transfers and maybe one of them starting. You know what I mean? So it becomes more manageable at that point. If Tate, I mean, one key to this is what kind of season does Tate Johnson have?
I agree.
But Jaleel Irvin, I mean, is he going to be back next year? That's another one. So, I mean, they're going to have to, there may be 8 to 10 new offensive linemen on the roster next year.
I agree.
Almost
And
has to be. Yeah.
if you'd asked me if Alec Jackson was going to return this past year to be a backup, I would have told you you're crazy, but he did. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that Jaleel Irving could return or that Keandre could return.
I don't think Keandre's coming back if he's not if to be a backup though.
No, I think he'd be coming back as a starter, but you're losing Brandon Council, who's presumably starting over Keandre Jones at this point right now.
Yeah.
Lots to do on the offensive line. I know our subscribers at Auburn Live on 3 will be happy to hear a big group of offensive linemen coming in for this Penn State game. 2023 guys. We will update that list tomorrow on Auburn Live on 3. As Zach said earlier, man, everybody take time real quick and hit that like and subscribe button on Auburn Live YouTube page. We would greatly appreciate it. Oh, TJ, Miss Justice. Well, hey, we'll hit about 10 minutes worth of lightning round right here, Zach. Get as many as we can. Tyler Justice. She wants to know, should we be worried about the subpar secondary play? P.S. Can't wait to be back in Jordan here stadium this Saturday. Subpar, Jhead,
get back to me after this week. If we play
I agree, man. I agree.
If we play the same covers that we've been playing and we don't execute it, then yeah, you should be concerned. If it looks a little bit different or we play significantly better contingent on what we're going to be doing in the back end, then no, it's not a concern.
You know what? I'm almost like that on every question at this point. If it's a concern right now, holla back next week, man. I feel like we'll know all the answers, or at least a much more educated answer and guesses and theories about this team, because we don't know what the game plans were these past 2 weeks. But do you think Kelton Smith visiting is significant at all? Absolutely significant. Keith, do you think Auburn's got a shot of flipping him? This kid's been here a couple of times.
Well, he's in Columbus, Georgia. He's at Carver, correct?
Yes, sir.
They're recruiting his teammate at Carver, Darren Reed, the 4-star LSU defensive tackle commit. I think it feels like a long shot. Well, here's why. Georgia assistant Del McGee, where did he work in high school?
Cava.
Or for Columbus.
Yeah. So, Auburn hasn't had who was the last guy they signed out of there? Was it Gabe Wright?
Gabe Wright.
Okay.
Who is the best friend of who, Keith?
Yeah. Why do you keep doing this? Keyshawn Blackstock, junior college offensive tackle.
Keith can't ever remember his name. Keyshawn Blackstock.
So that to me, that sounds like a tough flip.
Okay. Cleveland is in the house. Gut check question for all. Was Auburn truly vanilla with our play calling last 2 weeks and we got trick plays up the sleeve, or do we have more concern than I'm going to tell you what, you better hope that it was being vanilla, right?
Yeah.
Because if that's what you got right now, I'm going to jump in the boat with Keith. Negative Niebuhr. And I would like to believe that they were being vanilla. Jhead, real quick.
Yeah, I want to believe, I tend to believe they were being vanilla. And as a little rebuttal to Keith's points about Auburn, every team on the schedule, minus Georgia and Alabama at this point, has warts. Okay, every team has deficiencies. No team that other than maybe Arkansas, has looked fantastic to this point. So a lot of winnable, losable games there.
Oh, Blake Pipkin. Is Auburn going to start pushing for Ryan Hollywood Williams from Saraland? He is. He is really good. Best kid from the Mobile area that I've seen playing a long time. Absolutely. Cole, you got anything? This is a 2025 kid from wide receiver. He's got a teammate that's a stud too.
Yeah. No, I don't really have anything, but I think they are,
I know Blake Auburn is well aware of this kid and will definitely, if they haven't already, are pushing for him. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the stadium on Saturday. Yeah, he's another one. Thomas Jones, TJ, can you compare a run defense or a pass defense? No turnovers yet against inferior opponents is a problem. Hell yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
I would say the run defense has been significantly better by comparison to our pass defense to this point.
Well, once again, you're seeing nobody I don't know many people that like the term bend don't break, and I particularly don't like it either, but when they get in the red zone, they tighten up pretty well so far.
I didn't like it when Kevin Steele was here.
No, nobody likes that. Okay.
I think you do a little bit more of that, I think. Maybe I think anyway, when you're still trying to figure out what kind of offense you have.
Yeah, right.
Agreed.
Fair.
I think, do they come after Sean Clifford this weekend? Do they come after him and try to make him uncomfortable? Because they didn't do that last year to him, and he was comfortable and sat on his spot and hurt Auburn. So maybe a different game plan this time.
Oh, Blake Robinson wants to know, recruiting related, you guys expect any commitments from any recruits visiting this weekend, especially if Auburn wins? I would say, Blake, Keith might disagree with me here, but I'm looking at my list. I've got 4 guys. Keith and I talk about this tomorrow on Inside the 20. Hopkins is going to announce Thursday. He doesn't count. Harkless is going to commit at some point in the next couple of weeks, according to him. He doesn't count. They've already visited. The 2 guys I'm watching right now on the visitor list as we speak, Janoris Wilson and Tyler Scott. Keith has got some new stuff on Janoris Wilson via Chad Simmons. Yeah. Keith, Janoris will be in for an official visit this weekend, Blake. Yeah, you probably know that.
Yeah, Chad's going to have an update. Sorry, guys. Wednesday morning on Janoris Wilson. It's set, but I don't want to steal Chad's thunder here. He's doing all the reporting. But it sounds like he wants to have a decision maybe by the end of the month, but may want to take one more official visit. And I understand that. He hasn't been to a lot of schools, all right? And at Lakeland High School where he plays, they do encourage that. They like to see those guys get out there and experience a little bit. But Auburn's got a huge lead right now. Perhaps North Carolina is now the new team maybe that could push the most. But I love where Auburn is right now.
Yeah, I think we all would have Janoris Wilson and Tyler Scott in our class projection at this point, and they are visiting this weekend. Kevin Barnes wants to know, it may have been leered with hope, saying that in the Mercer and SJSU game, Schmedding was setting up to bait Penn State to throw across the middle. Cole, in my amateur eye, this is what I was telling you. That's about my only contribution to our watching the game together Saturday night was, dude, they ate Auburn up across the middle. Even when Owen was blitzing, if he would leave, they would bring somebody right in there, right where he left his blitz spot and catch the ball. Yeah. And they ate him up across the middle. I saw the same thing, Kevin. And as I've said from the beginning, and I just said it again, I think, Jhead, you better hope so. I mean, right? You better hope they were being vanilla. You better hope they were trying to set stuff up. And because if you don't, Auburn could be in big trouble.
Well, Jhead, let me ask you and Cole something. The great 49er teams of Bill Walsh, what did they run? A lot of those slants and short posts, right?
Absolutely. That whole West Coast offense.
West Coast, yeah.
What did San Jose State run the other night?
West Coast offense.
And
did they really?
Where did Bill Walsh coach in college before Stanford? And where did he go to school? I think it was San Jose State, right?
Correct.
They know the passing game. That part didn't bother me as much. That's what they do. That is their MO. So that I wasn't as concerned about the Auburn secondary as everybody else, believe it or not. Negative Niebuhr, not so negative on that one.
Yeah, man. What's going on here?
Well, they had a size mismatch.
Yeah.
Decatur Tiger 97, decent. Oh, I thought I was about to say Matt Campbell went to Nebraska, but if he's on the board, right?
Yeah, he's on the board.
He's a candidate. Does that impact JJ Cole's recruitment?
No, because he'll follow him to Nebraska,
or he'll stay where his daddy was a legacy. Yeah, I just don't see JJ Cole happening.
And by the way, I talked to JJ today, and he just in case anybody's wondering, he will not be at Jordan-Hare Stadium this week.
There you go. Braden Hall back wants to know, do y'all think recruiting rankings can be a little overrated? I think historically they've been pretty good, haven't they?
Yeah, they're on point a lot. It goes both ways.
Yeah.
But now I guess the second part of the question is, I should have finished this. Just thinking about all the Gus Malzahn's recruits and how they not all underachieved. They had a lot of I think people remember the bust a lot more than they remember the ones that don't. But there were a lot of busts.
Well, look, you tend to hang on to the negative more than you do the positive. But I would say, look, because a kid is characterized as a 4-star in high school, how he's developed once he gets on campus is as big a piece of that puzzle as anything. So is that more about the development in the previous regime, or is it more about, how the kid was graded? Now, I'm not huge with rankings as far as it goes to like whether you're 1 or whether you're 400. I think that's extremely difficult to do. But in the aggregate, if you're landing more 4 stars and 5 stars than you are 3 stars, typically speaking, your talent base or your blue chip ratio is going to bear out and that you're going to have better talent on the team. But I think Gus's issue for me personally, there were some risky evaluations there with kids that may or may not had some questionable character. And then there was also a lack of development once they got on campus.
I think that's key.
Offensive line, he didn't do well. Quarterback, he didn't do really well. Barney Knight, are we Burning night. Are we pretty much done on 2023 quarterbacks? No, not at all. If none of you are going to visit, it doesn't seem like we'll take one. Cole, you went to see Brock Glenn.
I did.
And I don't think you got to talk to him, though, did you?
I did.
Okay.
Very briefly. They lost that game, so he was kind of, I talked to him briefly. And he's hearing from Keesaw and Harsin just like he always was. Nothing's changed in that regard. He still contemplating a visit. He said, he's got to talk with his coaches, and he wants to run it by Ohio State as well, as he's honoring that commitment. But, an Auburn game's not off the table for him. So,
he's a guy that I'm going to be keeping an eye out for Saturday, because I don't think we would know he was coming until he actually walked on campus. So he's a guy that I'm going to keep an eye on. The other two guys we know of course, J.J. Cole and the Milton kid, Keith, what's his name? From Miami.
Emory Williams. I will say this. Auburn would like, Jeff, you're getting more intel on this. It sounds like Auburn absolutely would like a quarterback in this class. Yeah, but if they don't get one, you could take two next year. You could hit the portal. We don't know what kind of attrition there's going to be after this season. Calzada, I keep wanting to call him Gatewood. I do this every time. I know. Joey. But so we don't know what's going to happen in the future. But really, it's not thought to be a great night. It's not supposed to be a great QB class nationally. So at the end of the day, if you're Auburn, it might not be the end of the world if you don't take somebody. Now, the flip side of that is, how much are they going to get hurt by attrition? We'll see.
Oh, Braden Hawk, you bastard, man. You going to put us on the spot on Tuesday? Man, I'm going to tell you what. We're going to save the score predictions unless somebody's ready to do it. We'll save those for Friday's show.
Yeah.
Or the podcast on Thursday.
Yeah, and I gave a score prediction today on a radio show, but I'm going to hold back too.
Here's what I will say about that. My bad. Brian and Vic, will we wear orange? Face mask, yes. Blue jerseys is going to be the call. Auburn will not wear orange jerseys.
Talking about the crowd, yeah. You better wear orange.
All Auburn or something, all orange, whatever. JP, are there any surprise visitors? Absolutely. Possible surprise visitors.
Oh, yeah.
Look, when I talk about Brock Glenn, those guys, there are going to be several guys that we don't know about that are even planning on showing up until they get there. So I'm expecting Cole and I and Keith's going to be there as well. We're going to be on our toes looking for guys showing up that we're not expecting. WDR.
I'm sorry. I'll go with Keldrick Falk too, because
there you go.
When I went to see him, he said, "Yeah, maybe the Penn State game." But he ended up showing up last week.
Right.
Maybe he shows up again. We'll see.
But Jaleel Hurley is who he was referring to. I don't know about him, but he's somebody I'll be keeping an eye on. Right, Jhead?
100%. And as we said, quiet is better than not with him. So this is a situation where this coaching staff is going to work extremely hard to keep a visit like that under wraps until it's absolutely necessary that it be made public.
Yeah. Now, some of these guys are coming out and saying, I'm going to Auburn this weekend. They don't give a shit.
No, they don't care.
Right. So all the guys in our visitor list, expected visitor list, they've either come out with it to us or come out with it on social media. They're going. Yeah. So Ron Robeson wants to know, WDR, it looks like we are more inroads in the Florida Panhandle. Do y'all think we might should schedule Florida State? Shit, yeah. Keith would love that.
Why not, right?
Well, I think the question would be more of, would Florida State want us to play Auburn? I don't know. I think it helps Auburn because of the Florida reach more than it would help FSU, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so, it doesn't seem like that would be. Yeah, I mean, never know. You never say never, but it seems like Auburn's pretty content with going out and playing Cal a couple times, going out and play UCLA. I mean, I know Jeff and I are already going out to UCLA. We've already got our map of the stars, and he's been wanting to see Marilyn Monroe's house, so we're going to be out there. But
we need to get you guys and Ryan Bartow back together. Come on, now.
But no, I just think that again, like I said, I think FSU. What did they gain out of it? They're already in Georgia. They really are probably one of the two or three big programs in South Georgia, after Georgia, of course.
Holy shit.
And in Alabama, they do stuff in Mobile, but otherwise not really the rest of the state. And I know they got Jameis up by Birmingham, but it would help Auburn more, I think. And I don't know if Florida State would want to go for that. We'll see. It was a great rivalry at one time.
Hey, last question right here, man. I just realized I didn't bring my charger. My computer's on 7%. So Chase Woods, we're going out on Chase Woods. I like Simpson, DJ James Kaufman, Puckett, Kirby Puckett, and Scott at the nickel, Michael Scott. Sorry, I feel like they have outperformed Pritchett. I don't think anybody would argue with there on Chase. I think Pritchett relies on his speed too much. Cole, Jhead, y'all's thoughts on that?
Well, first you called Zion Puckett, Kirby Puckett. I thought that was fantastic.
And Michael Scott. You missed that one, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Go for it.
I think that's a really good group. As far as that's concerned, I thought Kaufman played extremely well when he moved back to safety this past week. Now, some of that was by design because we were looking at a lot of 4 wide receiver sets. So you're playing a little bit more dime personnel. It's hard to say. I was impressed with the freshman from Mississippi this past in week 1. Didn't get a chance to see him as much in week 2, but I don't think that's a bad grouping as far as defensive back is concerned. Cole, what do you think?
Yeah, I was critical of Pritchett earlier in the show. I still have a couple concerns with him as far as that goes, but the dude's played a lot of football. Okay, I mean, he's not a guy you take out of the mix at all. He's going to be the guy that covers, one of the best receivers on the other side, and hopefully you run him in man a little bit and let him, play to his skill set. I think he could play well in this game. But at the same time, there's no way you don't put DJ James and Keontae Scott back out there because they're playmakers, 100%. So there's a rotation building there where maybe Pritchett loses a snap or two and the other two gain a snap or two.
Hey, Keith, you got something you want to throw in here real quick?
Yeah, on the visit front, we talked about all the committed players committed to other schools that are going to be there Saturday. Just got a text message from a Michigan State commit, Colton Hood, defensive back from Georgia, just committed to the Spartans a couple weeks ago. He says he's going to be at the Auburn game on Saturday, and we felt like if Auburn did make a push, even with him committed, they could get right back in this thing. So
teammate of DJ Chester.
Yeah,
and
I don't remember.
Was his uncle Benji Hood? Who was his uncle?
Roger Hood.
His dad was Benji.
His cousin,
Benji. Cousin was DeAntoine that played with Zach Etheridge. He had another cousin that played for Auburn too. Had 4 family members that played for Auburn.
That's the dude I think if you push, Auburn pushes, and I don't think they had up until that point. I think they get him. I think they get Tyler Scott. I think I don't know if are they 2 different players. Is he more of a nickel?
Yeah,
Colton?
Yeah, Colton's more of your smaller coverage guy. Tyler Scott's more of this is who you put out there so you can avoid mismatches, kind of like Carlton Davis was. He's your big, lengthy guy, and you hope that a big receiver can't push him around kind of guy.
Hey, great show, fellas. Great show, man. We thank everybody for calling in. We thank all the questions and comments on the chat. Again, if you're not a subscriber to Auburn Live on 3, we do this every day. We do it all day long on the board. We've got content coming out our ears, not literally, but if you're not a member, get signed up to Auburn Live on 3. We've got a great deal going on right now. First week is free. If you're not a member, this is the perfect opportunity to get signed up and get all the next week's recruiting intel, team scoop for free. Also, like that YouTube page, man. You're on it right now. Just click that like, hit that subscribe button to Auburn Live on 3's YouTube page. We really appreciate it. Thanks to all the calls tonight, man. Let's see here. We had Lloyd. He's Kirby's Puckett's brother. Lord George, LG, big time. Braden Hawk, Jedi, Bo from Moody, Anthony from Montgomery, Peckerhead. Peckerhead from Fort Payne calling in. CCR3, Justin from Nashville. Then we have some questions from JP, Miss Tyler Justice. She is a beautiful subscriber of ours. And then Blake Robinson, Blake Pipkin, Thomas Jones, Steven, Decatur T, and Barney Knight, Ron Robinson, Chase Woods, man. We appreciate everybody. Sorry if we didn't get to anybody's phone call tonight or questions. We'll get to them next time. We've got Inside the 20 with Keith and I coming out tomorrow morning on Auburn Live on 3. We've got the modcast coming out Thursday with Cole, Keith, myself, Justin Hokanson, and then Jhead will be back with us on Friday for the Auburn Live recruiting show. We're going to have tons of information coming out the rest of this week. Go over there and get subscribed. Again, we appreciate everybody for Jhead, for Cole, for Keith, for Zach in the back. Zach, we appreciate you, big dog. I'm Jeffrey Lee. Y'all stay out of the left lane. See you.